Welcome back, my dear friends of the universe, to another video in which we talk about Escape from Tarkov. And this time around we're going to take a look at the inventory system and the loot system in the game, and why potentially it could be a lot better than what we have seen in similar titles before that utilize similar systems like this. This video that I'm analyzing right now is of course the video that Battlestate Games released over on their channel, so if you want to see this video in their entirety, there is a link in the description and you can watch that for yourself. But in this video that you're watching right now, we're going to try to analyze what we can see on the screen and what the developers have showcased to us so far. Now, of course, this is all subject to change because this is a pre-alpha build. So this might be totally different from the final release, but we probably will see a good pointer towards what we can expect from the actual game. Now, first off, we can go through what we see on the screen here right now. We have headset, goggles, helmet, body armor, 2 main guns, sidearm, a scabbard, what seems to be health, what seems to be water levels, what seems to be maybe energy levels, a tactical rig, pockets, backpack, and a pouch, and a quick use menu. I'm not entirely sure what the quick use menu is separated. There might be the thing of that in the first 4 that we see, you can equip your guns and everything that is more vital, and maybe it's just utility and the next one. I'm not entirely sure, that's mainly speculation, but I think there's some sort of reason why they're separated a little bit like that. I don't think it's just a visual glitch or whatever. Now, the interesting things about this is that you can have 2 main guns. In terms of realism, I don't think you ever would run around with 2 main weapons, like 2 assault rifles. There's no real reason for it, but I think in terms of survival aspect, it works fine, and having one on the front of the body and one on the back makes the most sense, as well as a sidearm and a little scabbard. And you seem to have a body armor and a tactical rig. Now, how this will work is a little bit interesting. We're going to get a little bit more into that just up ahead in this video. Now, this is something that I find interesting as well. We have different health bars for different parts of the body. So, say for example, you get shot in the left leg and that goes kaput. Then how will the game respond? Will you be able to walk slowly or not work at all until you actually get some sort of treatment? Now, this is interesting as well. You have 1 health bar for your chest and 1 for your stomach. This might be because in the chest you have the lungs, the heart, some sort of, or a couple of things that maybe if you get shot there, you're gonna die instantaneously. And maybe not so much in the stomach, even though you can get very vital injuries while getting shot in the stomach. But there might be some slight difference there, which opens up more difference in terms of where you should actually shoot your enemy in this game, which I find quite interesting indeed. And here we get our first little look at the map of the game. Now, this is something that I find quite interesting. Normally, when you play a game like this, you get a map, a standard map that you find somewhere out in the wilderness for some random non-apparent reason, and then you have to follow that map like you would a normal map. Maybe you have a marker, maybe you don't, so you don't really know where you are. Maybe you have to figure that out by yourself. But one thing that I can take from this map, which is quite interesting, is that there's actual building layouts, so you know what's inside these buildings without actually having to go inside of these buildings, and you know which different rooms that you can expect and so on. And there's actually even little drawings of cars here and there, which seems very interesting. There is a level progression system, which might, if I can get some theories going here, is that you can actually upgrade your skills when it comes to creating maps and so on. Because if you take a look at this layout, it looks like they actually sort of fit that in after the actual. I think this is just some sort of upgrade, because it doesn't look like it fits into the actual normal map. And this might all be just a hand-drawn map as well, because it looks it just doesn't look like a detailed map, and I think maybe that's something that you can get on later levels as well, only speculation, but it seems like there's some sort of levels in the terms of the maps, or maybe this is just the design they chose to go with the actual maps in the game. It's going to be interesting to see how that works in the final game. Now, that is a mechanic that I think could potentially be both really annoying and something that heightens the immersion as well. Now, you saw that he just looted the body like you would. You go up, press E, and then you get into the inventory system that we've already seen a little bit of. And then we saw on the ground that this guy has a tactical rig on him, he has a backpack on him, and we can't really see what he has in his pockets as well. And you need to press search in order to do so. And that, in terms of realism, is great, but we have had similar features in the past where you actually have some sort of timer before you can get into like a cabinet or loot something, and in the long run, when you do it over and over, it can get potentially quite annoying, but the way they do this system makes it a little bit more realistic. If you want to search a body, you actually have to search those pockets, and that way you will find various things along the way. So in terms of realism, this system is great. How it will play out in the end is something that will be quite interesting as well. One thing that I want to compare here right now is that the tactical rig that he has on him, the guy who's lying on the ground, looks like a tactical rig with a body armor inside of it. This does not. This looks like a normal utility vest that you have over a body armor potentially, or not. I don't know. It looks like in this case he has it over the body armor. Will the tactical rig that he has be a body armor and a tactical rig in one? I don't know, but there is that potential factor, and if it's better to use a standalone body armor and a normal tactical rig, a utility vest, or the combined one. I guess there is a possibility of that choice. And one thing that I find interesting as well is that in the tactical rig you actually have these slots that seems to be a little bit longer slots that can hold magazines. Now, in real life, when you use a tactical vest or a utility vest or a body armor that has these different slots, is that there are slots specific for magazines, so that you and you train with that vest in order to be able to do quick reloads and swaps with magazines and so on. So that makes sense, and that you have two slots for smaller magazines for your sidearm as well. And this is something that sort of transitions over to the pockets, that we can see that we can't have bigger items in our pockets, which makes sense. Now, having actual frag grenades in your pockets would be quite, I don't know, I guess it's possible. It's not something that I could recommend you doing. I would probably have my grenades on my actual utility vest because that seems way safer, but I guess the possibility is there at least. And one thing that we can see there is that while he's searching the backpack, more and more stuff comes up. And that would probably be the case in real life as well. You see the top things and then you remove those, and then you see things at the bottom, and more things pops up. And from that, he got a headset and he got a case key. The headset looks like a normal tactical thing that you would use on a shooting range or in a situation where you would actually be in a firefight, mainly because these headsets they cancel out loud noises, so you won't injure your ears while shooting a gun, which is something that is a must to have, especially if you're in any sort of military situation. But it seems like these headsets are also in use for maybe some sort of communication device. it will be interesting to see how they are used in the actual game and what kind of properties they hold. And the case key and the keys in general seem to be a cool feature that we really haven't seen in similar types games in the past. And I'm gonna tell you why in just a second. These types of interactive looting systems is not something that we have not seen in the past, but it's still nice to see this level of you being able to interact with the environment. Now, just going into this house is something that is very interesting as well. Notice all the little details and all the scrap lying around to make it look as live as possible, as lived in and as chaotic and just as alive. And there we have another key that he grabbed, which is something that we haven't really seen before, but adds a whole another level of, I don't know, more in terms of exploration than anything else, but in terms of looting as well. And why that is, you're gonna have to see in just a bit. And still the level of detail here with all the furniture being misplaced and paper everywhere and so on just makes this place look alive in a way that we haven't really seen in any survival-esque games before. Do you remember the room number for the key? That's right, room 118. And this here is something that I think can open a totally different dimension of immersion in a game like this. Normally we go into a building, there's open rooms and there's locked rooms, and you can't ever go into the locked rooms. Now this time around there's actually a reason for you to look around to find a key to be able to get into those locked rooms that you wouldn't be able to get into otherwise, and find loot that probably is very untouched and maybe a little bit better than what you can find in the other rooms that you can access without a key. And this is another reason why the keys are interesting. You can find these cases that you actually can unlock and find loot in. Not the best case this time round, but it's still something of use. And now we get to a very interesting part of this video. I'm gonna try to go back a little bit so we can see everything that we can see here. We have vital parts, funk mods, and gear parts. Everything is exchangeable with this weapon. I have a little theory here, and it's not taken from anything, but there might be a durability thing here as well. There is systems in place already that we've talked about before with the gun jamming and so on, and that might go hand in hand with the durability of different parts that you have to change and repair and so on. And just the first look of this looks like it's very complex, but it actually, if you think about it, it's very simple. You have the vital parts that you can exchange, which is the receiver, the magazine, the barrel, the foregrip, and it seems like the gear parts are the charge stock, P-grip, whatever that is, and then you have funk mods, which is like sights and laser sights and so on. And they also have different colors. This little menu here is just to make everything look very much cooler than you have seen before. It looks complex, but it actually looks very simple when you think about it. You just press the part that you want to change, and then you see if you have any parts for it, and you add that to the weapon. Now there we have the quick menu again, and we can see what kinds of things he can change through, and it looks like the first slots are for your weapons and anything vital for you to survive, and maybe the other ones are for utility. That again is only speculation from my side though. And from what we can see here, this game looks way more alive and detailed than anything that we have seen in the similar market before. Now, what this game is actually going to be is something that we still only can speculate about. It doesn't say that it's a survival game just off the bat, but I think there's some obvious survival-esque things in this game. They more state it as an MMO with factions and so on, but it's going to be very interesting to see how all this plays out, and all these little details that I've talked about in this footage is something that I think will make this stand out in the crowd of these kinds of games, because in terms of realism, in terms of its overall functionality, in terms of all the little details, there is not a game that has this level of realism while staying true to being a game. Now, normally when you have these kinds of systems in place, there is that they aim for that realism, but they have to compromise in order to make something more suitable for gaming, something more that feels right, that isn't annoying in terms of how the mechanics works. But in this game, they have proven so far that they really know what they're doing and are speaking to both realism and gun mechanics in a way that is quite ingenious. And that's actually it for this video. Like and favorite if you enjoyed, or like and share if you enjoyed, depending on what you actually want to do. If you saw something in this video that I did not talk about, then you're more than welcome to do a comment below. I love discussing these kinds of little nerdy details with you guys. Subscribe if you want more Escape from Tarkov and analysis and news in the future. And until next time, bye.